All right, y'all. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Mr. G's photo class. Today, we're going to be doing a cool effect called fake fisheye. So we're going to start off with a normal photo, and we're going to fake some cool effects to make it look like it was taken with a fisheye lens. So let's get straight into it, and let's begin. So first thing we're going to do is open up our photo in Photoshop. If you haven't done this yet, it's going to be File, Open, and then go ahead and open your photo wherever you have it saved. Now, first things first, you're going to unlock your background layer, and if it is a smart object, you'll know if it's a smart object. If you're looking at it and there's like a little image right here, you have to not an image, but a little, I think it's a brain or something. Like if I make it a smart object, let me show you what this looks like. So where is it at? If I go down, if I convert it to a smart object, it looks like that. You don't want that. So if it has a little piece of paper there, it's wrong. You have to right click and then hit rasterize layer like that. So make sure your layer is rasterized. Some of you may need to do it, some of you may not. Depends on what kind of photo you have. But now that we have it where we need it, we're gonna go up to, where is it? We're gonna go up to filter. Oh, there we go. So go up to filter, lens correction, and then notice we have a little bit of distortion there, right? So if we ever want to adjust that, we click lens correction, and then we're going to get a pop-up like so. Let me adjust this window size because this is way too big for you to see. Bear with me. There we go. So I'm going to drag down this window, bring it over here, and we have a couple options. So you want to go under custom, and you want to click remove distortion just a little bit into the negative. So I'm going to maybe do like I want to maybe do like negative 14, and that should be about right. So now, as you guys can see, we have a bunch of non-existent background because we warped it back, right? We know we did it right because we can see the lines up here curving, but let's make it a little bit better. So I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, Scale, and I'm going to go ahead and scale this down a little bit. Just like so. Now I'm going to select my picture, right click, and then hit select inverse. And now I'm going to hit generative fill, and I'm going to say expand background. So I'm typing that in right now. So if you guys look at the bottom, oops, spelled that wrong. I'm going to type in expand background, and then click generate. Now this is the first time we're using AI in this class, and it's pretty much gonna generate 3 different variations, and we gotta choose the best one. So right now it's scanning my photo, trying to figure out, all right, if this was expanded, what would it look like? So all we just do is sit back and wait. So now, if you see right here in this window, there's 3 different options. That's option 1, option 2, and option 3. I think I'm either gonna go with 2 or 3. I'll do 2. I'll stick with option 2. So now that generated, you'll see that it made a new layer. I don't want 2 layers. I want them to all live on the same layer over here. So I'm going to hold down Shift, click on both layers, make sure they're both selected. Then I'm going to right click on the layer and hit merge layers. Cool. So now we have our layer nice and merged. Now it's time to make our black outline. So I'm going to click a new layer using the plus button right here, and then I'm going to go to my tools, and I'm going to look for the paint bucket tool. If I don't see it, I can always go to my toolbar, hold down these 3 dots, and I'll see a bunch of other tools. The one I am looking for is the paint bucket tool. So it's going to look like that. If I hold down G, it should pop up. So I'm going to make sure my background is painted all black like that. Then I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to go to the ellipse tool, also known as the circle tool. So if I hold that down, I'm looking for the ellipse tool, and now I can click and drag a circle. Oh, come on now. Like that. You want to make sure it's listed as shape, not path, because there's a little drop down, and then we'll move it over here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off my ellipse layer, but I'm going to hold down Control and click on the little picture. So I'm going to hold down Control and click, and what that did is it selected the circle, Now I'm going to click back on my black background layer and hit the mask button. Remember that? That's a little button right here next to effects. It's a rectangle with a circle inside. So if I hit that, it'll create a layer mask. Now that's cool, but this isn't exactly what we want. So as you see, a mask has popped up here next to that layer. I'm going to right click and hit invert mask. How do I invert the mask? Should be able to right click here maybe. Right click there. It should be, I think if I hit Control I. There we go. So if I click on the mask, make sure it's selected, and hit Control I on my keyboard, it'll invert it. Now I can always move this around as need be. Let's say that's not exactly where I want it to be. I can move it there, can make it bigger, whatever floats my boat. I could do the same thing with the background picture. I could always move that back, move that around. I'm probably gonna move it like there. Cool. So it looks pretty good, and honestly we're almost done, but we still want to make a couple of adjustments. So I'm going to double click on my mask right here, the little circle, double click, and then it's going to bring up a couple options. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to feather my mask, so now it has a smoother transition between what's a mask and what's not. I noticed that shifted it this way, so I'm going to move it back. Then I'm going to double click on the layer itself. So I'm going to double click on this. I'm going to hit outer glow. And then I'm going to change, so outer glow, I clicked on outer glow right here in the pop-up. Then I'm going to change it to overlay. Maybe turn my opacity down slightly. And now we get this cool little like bluish purple ring around, right? Like we would get if we used a fisheye lens. So now that that's there, we have a couple more options to make this even better. I'm going to click on my photo layer, go to Edit, Transform, Warp. Now I can warp this, so I'm going to bring in the corners towards the middle, like so. Maybe not too much, you never want to lose the background. We're going to keep doing that like so. And now you see we get more and more of that fisheye look. So once I like the way it looks, I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard, and we're almost done. The last thing I want to do is duplicate this photo layer. And then I'm going to go up to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. I'm going to get this pop up, and it's going to ask me how blurry do I want the blur radius. I'm going to keep it at about 8. Click OK. Now, this is blurry, but this isn't what we want. What we want is it to blend in and make the photo look nice and soft, but still see the detail. So we're going to go up to the blending modes right here where it says normal. Right click and hit overlay. And now it made it look glowy, but sadly it's a little too dark. So all we have to do, last step, is go to the adjustment layers right here. It's a little half circle, or the circle filled in halfway next to the folder. Click on curves. And then if you go behind this, it's actually hiding. We have our curves adjustments. All I'm going to do is click in the middle and move it up slightly. If I move it down, it gets darker. If I move it up, it gets lighter. And then I'm going to move my highlights down on the curves slightly as well too. So just adjust it till it looks cool. I like the way it looks there. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and hit File, Export, Export As. I'm going to get this nice little pop-up. And I'm going to choose, one second, let me resize this. I'm going to get this nice little pop-up. I'm going to choose JPEG. Quality 6 is fine. Hit export and save it. I'm going to name it my name and then fake fisheye. So we're going to call it, oh, that's not where I want to save it. I'm going to save it here and call it Mr. G fake fisheye. So name it your name, fake fisheye, hit save, and you are done. So just like that, you have your fake fisheye photo. If you're able to follow along, great job. Pat yourself on the back, and we'll see you next class.